Hi, I'm here to talk about a choice. A choice between being indifferent and just different. I firmly believe, and I'm sure you'll agree, that the word unprecedented has become a part of our daily discourse, more so now than ever before. The rational part of us knows that the world has seen so much worse, that multiple countries are suffering unspeakable tragedies in addition to the pandemic at this very moment. Why then do we keep using this word? It could be because we collectively experienced an almost numbing degree of powerlessness. Not long ago, I had a solid 5-year plan. And in just a few hours, the power to plan the very next day was taken away from me. That was what made it unprecedented. I had never felt so trapped and disoriented ever before. Coronavirus disrupted any semblance of stability we've ever had, whether it is physical, financial, or mental. During the first wave of COVID-19, I complained about how things could have been, of how the situation could have just been handled better. I felt deep sympathy for those enduring the crisis, but never knew if there was anything I could do. This diffusion of responsibility is recognized as the bystander effect. And so often than not, most of us feel a deep sense of sympathy, but don't know what or how we could do anything about it. The second wave, however, felt different. People I knew got affected and numbers spiked every day. It became harder and harder to do nothing. I couldn't believe the statistics I was seeing. This wave was at least 9 times worse than the first. And India had just 5 beds for every 10,000 Indians. And only zero point 0.2 of these was supported with oxygen. The pandemic accelerated the breakdown of systems at a shocking pace. In any public health emergency, there are 3 stakeholders: the state, the victim, and the bystander. In order to minimize the number of victims, the bystanders need to urgently become good Samaritans, and the state needs to increase its capacities. The parable of the Good Samaritan teaches us the value of empathy. And to borrow Michelle Boba's phrase, empathy is a verb. I realized that behind each statistic, there was a human life. And it is this realization that motivated me to use my time and energy in meaningful and tangible ways to help mitigate the situation. Everyone's leverage varies, and it does not necessarily have to mean money or power, but can simply mean how many resources you are able to mobilize towards a situation. You can examine what your leverage is and reach out to the first sphere of influence that's most accessible to you. As a student, it was my educational institution. We're all a part of some form of institutional networks that are huge and along with some batchmates and the guidance of our principal, Professor Bijalakshmi Nanda, we set up the Miranda House COVID Help Desk. With a million databases floating around, some irrelevant, some fake, we started with creating a credible database for COVID-affected families in NCR. A few hours in, and we quickly realized how acute the shortage was. To give you a sense of the severity, I had taken up the responsibility of oxygen and was receiving approximately 2,000 calls every day. People went from pillow to post to ensure that their loved ones had everything they needed to fight this brutal virus. As for the virus, it had no mercy. As we're all aware, it shook all systems. Blood oxygen levels dropped rapidly when not supported with medical oxygen in time, which then led to severe complications. For anyone in crisis, time is of essence. And going through redundant leads not only wastes very crucial time, but also requires a lot of mental energy. With the help desk, we wanted to bridge this gap. Cries for help across the nation reached us. Social media played a pivotal role here in helping us connect with similar student initiatives based in other cities, expediting such aid. During the crisis, the demand was so high that the supply fell short frequently. We witnessed the breakdown of supply chain, which led to a number of unauthorized sellers trading different components that go into making one oxygen cylinder, leading into an ocean of leads. I had studied about the trolley problem in ethics, and until then, it remained a mere hypothetical in my head. The trolley problem is a thought experiment in philosophy. In a nutshell, a trolley without functioning brakes is headed towards 5 people who stand to be killed if the trolley continues on its path. The choice comes in with a switch, which would then make the trolley change to a different track where another individual stands to be killed. Never could I have imagined that this problem would manifest quite literally. There came a point where I felt like the driver of the trolley, since providing leads to one person meant taking it away from another. And who am I to decide who deserves a chance and who doesn't? We had to make hard choices every day. Making a call on every call isn't easy. Do I prioritize on the basis of dropping oxygen levels or relative percentages of lung damage? I had to make decisions about lives. More so, as a student of philosophy, I realized that all ethical and philosophical dilemmas manifested in life in a much more complicated form than on paper. Once I got a call from a 12-year-old, both of whose parents desperately needed oxygen, and he had no means to commute. I pleaded with a fellow stranger from Gurgaon to bring him some help. In one of the million acts of empathy that I witnessed, this person drove down from Gurgaon to Faridabad but could only bring him one cylinder. This meant that the boy's parents had to take turns to breathe. On another line, I had a doctor whose pregnant wife was admitted due to COVID, only to find out that the entire hospital had run out of oxygen. Things got so morbid, we had to add a crematorium and mortuary tab to the help desk database. I felt like I was a part of all of these stories and that I must save everyone who approached me no matter what. Nothing seemed to ameliorate the crisis. Not medical knowledge or other forms of learning, nor prayers or oracles. When a handful of people got back to us, we couldn't help but wonder what happened to the others. As this feeling of helplessness washed over us, we felt like we were in hell, with no sleep, appetite loss, and a lot of stress. Our efforts didn't seem to add up. I was filled with feelings of guilt for taking breaks, because a break between 3:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. meant 567 unheard cries for help. I grieved every stranger's death. I learned from Thucydides that taking control of oneself was a prerequisite before one could exercise control over the outside world. This realization allowed me to extend empathy towards myself and accept the fact that there were limits to how much we could do with the existing resources. While my efforts were focused on the national capital, I started receiving calls for oxygen from Coimbatore, my hometown. I had seen what Delhi had undergone and recognized the need to urgently back the systems here. The extensive 2-week learnings at the Miranda House COVID help desk allowed me to create a space for bystanders willing to help. And that's how Coimbatore COVID-8, that I call CCA, was formed. Through CCA, I experienced once more the magic of empathy. It triggered a domino effect, transforming an initiative into a movement. And that's what CCA became. It became Coimbatore's youngest grassroots movement. People from diverse backgrounds were willing to step up and help. The diversity of our team truly helped us to become an inherently strong organization. We took the desire to do good, but took reason and evidence to guide our actions. We started with a help desk to make existing resources accessible and an info desk to break down and disseminate crucial information with the help of medical professionals who were also dealing with COVID patients. We helped connect families that were willing to share food with affected families. We helped deliver commonly available medicines. We tried bridging every gap we could possibly see. As this disaster passed all bounds, Tier 1 cities found themselves short of resources to overcome the challenges brought by the virus. Tier 2 cities, however, had to overcome similar challenges but with much fewer resources. Tirupur saw a six-fold increase in cases with the death toll nearly doubled in a month. As we got closer to the issue, we found ourselves asking better questions. We realized that we needed to urgently support the state to increase its capacity. While we were inherently prepared to take up challenges, we weren't registered and we did not have a statutory position. That is when we partnered up with Kudu, an NGO run by Mr. Kadiresan, who supported and encouraged our vision with his expertise. We crowdsourced over 10 lakh rupees for oxygen cylinders in a span of 20 days. Oh boy, was this difficult. We had all hands on deck for fundraising, from organizing events to making innumerable phone calls, generous donors, and even micro influencers that we did not personally know conducted workshops, donating the proceeds to our campaign. I was moved to see how many people there were willing to help. We procured and donated oxygen cylinders to the government hospitals of Tirupur district in Tamil Nadu, who then facilitated the distribution of these cylinders. I believe that each and every individual has a moral responsibility to do what's right, notwithstanding what our governments tell us or fail to tell us. We often forget that we coexist in a society, that our welfare ultimately depends on that of the societies. With my experience at CCA, I realized that I can develop skills crucial for my career while caring about the society. Volunteering experiences allow us to practice critical thinking and problem-solving skills to raise awareness about social issues as we try and solve them. Collaboration born out of empathetic understanding is nothing short of magic. We wanted CCA to be a platform where everyone who wanted to help had an opportunity to do so. CCA had grown to be an organization of 72 volunteers in a span of 1 month. It became a space that nurtured individual sense of purpose, adding up individual efforts into a mass collective effort to increase the state's capacity to fight this pandemic. CCA became the best of both worlds, a non-profit initiative run with the efficiency of a startup. Our tech team explores ways for us to simplify managerial tasks, while the marketing team taps into various networks that enable us to effectively reach communities. Through CCA, many people found opportunities not only to grow within their own fields, but also explore new career paths. It provided a peer learning space that we were otherwise deprived of, given online classes. I experienced the power of collaboration firsthand. Miracles do happen when people join hands with institutions and governments to accomplish common goals. With a sense of triumph and belief that we could contribute to increasing the state's capacity in more ways, once the second wave passed, there was an imminent fear of the third one. By then, doctors had conveyed that herd immunity through vaccinations was the only way to curb COVID. This then became our next responsibility. With effective systems in place, we were able to forge strategic partnerships. And one such collaboration with the Department of Health and Family Welfare of Tamil Nadu played a key role and equipped us to organize free vaccination camps for marginalized sections across Tamil Nadu. And I am proud to say that we are the first private group in Coimbatore to do so. As of today, we have managed to vaccinate 1,060 individuals from 5 panchayats. Sitting before you today, I am aware that I have helped many, and there is a feeling of pride and accomplishment. These feelings are, however, bittersweet. They are tinged with memories of anxiety, dread, and guilt. Because for the first time in my life, I was dealing with something larger than life, with no ready-made solution in sight. I have made peace with feeling this way because I realized that this is what growth feels like. Personal growth happens when you recognize that change doesn't paralyze you anymore. I can respond better in a crisis now. My ability to be resilient has grown tenfold. Through this journey, I realized that there is a dire need for small but well-organized initiatives in India that will serve as stepping stones into a world of change-making and global impact. If NGOs were to bet on such initiatives, change would happen at a much rapid pace. Volunteering opportunities should not be limited to working for famous NGOs. And I hope that the future of volunteerism in India does change. If you don't know where to begin, ask yourself, what can you spare? Is it time, expertise, or resources? The world could use any or all of these. Once you know what you can offer, there are multiple avenues you could explore. You can create or be part of a holistic system that fosters real change and impacts more people than you could have ever dreamt of. There is no rule book to the spirit of volunteering. Your first step does not have to be phenomenal, but there has to be one. Humans have been exhibiting empathy and collaborating towards the achievement of common goals since the dawn of civilization. However, the tools and systems that we use to achieve these goals must evolve. I chanced upon a quote by Margaret Mead that I resonate with. Quote, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." Unquote. Do you want to make this world a better place? Well, here's me telling you that it's not just a pipe dream. With dedicated effort, good organization, and an empathetic understanding of the needs of the gaps that need to be filled, you can change your little corner of the world and enrich it with a vision and zeal that's most unique to you. You can make a difference, and I leave you with the sincere hope that you will. Thank you.